Joe Mazzulla was right, but I'm still not thrilled with the way he went about things. And trade rumors, Jaren Jackson Jr. Is it even possible? Right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Your team is the Boston Celtics. And I talk about them Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts when they play on the weekends like this weekend in Atlanta. I will be in Atlanta, assuming the weather allows me to get there, but I will be there at State Farm Arena, so make sure you get that post-game podcast too, bonus podcast. It's all free, available everywhere you get your podcast. If you're new to the show, I am John Karalis, beat writer for Boston Sports Journal, covering the Celtics for about 20 years now, doing this podcast for 10, and I've written a couple of books about the team. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Later on, trade rumors, Daniel Gafford, Jaren Jackson Jr., lots of names being thrown around. Does anybody even pay attention to the numbers? Well, we do. We'll talk to some of the we'll get into some of the possibilities. What's real, what's not, what would actually have to happen to make some of these rumors come true. But first, Joe Mazzulla, yeah, he was right. Illegal screen. He was correct. And today, we're talking about it with Tom Westerholm. Tom, illegal screen.
Illegal screen. Thank you. It's we are both we're both the first ones to make that joke. Nobody before us has made the just saying illegal screen and illegal screen over and over joke. That's ours.
New. It's brand new.
Yeah.
Trademark, copyright 2026, John and Tom.
Yeah.
_Boys Productions, LLC.
Yes. Pay us money, please.
Yes. Okay. Now, so illegal screen. That was an illegal screen. It was indeed. We knew it. I said it in last night's podcast. Everybody could tell it was absolutely an illegal screen. Joe Mazzulla was correct, but not a surprise that it was correct. The point, I think, still stands that to make the last three losses that the Celtics have all been the ref's fault. That's my big takeaway. Jaylen went off after the Denver game. Jaylen went off again after the San Antonio game. Now Joe went to illegal screen mode after the loss, this last loss in Indiana. Okay, now we get it. It's done. I'm not saying don't bring it up, because you very easily could have gone into that post-game press conference and said, you know, the guys really worked hard. That was an illegal screen at the end. They didn't call it. They should have called it. It was not our best night. We fought back. We were shorthanded, and the guys deserved better than what they got. And, maybe we wouldn't have won the game anyway. So who knows how it would have gone, but they still should have called an illegal screen. That would have gotten your point across, and we wouldn't be in this, hey, stop. Will you stop just making it all about the officials? And I know fans are listening and being like, no, but the officials suck. Like, okay, yes, maybe they do. Even if we say, yeah, oh, they suck, they're horrible, they're the worst, which I don't believe necessarily, but even if we went there, I'm not I hate, Tom. I hate the just constant, just making it about the refs, because you could have done 10 other things. Joe Mazzulla loves to say 10 to 15 things. You could have done a few other things to make this game less of that tight situation, and it maybe would have mattered, maybe it wouldn't have. But anyway, I'm repeating myself, but I what else can you say?
Yeah, I mean, what else can you say?
Yeah, Tom,
illegal screen. No, listen, I think you're exactly right. Thank you. I agree with you on all points. I'm tired of it. If it wasn't for the refs, the Celtics would be well on their way to a 73 win season. Great. Okay. I'm glad we've done this, and now we can yell at the refs and we can all be mad at the refs together. And surely that will make a huge difference. I mean, it's you're right on 2 points, right? First of all, it's funny that Joe Mazzulla, the messenger here is funny, right? The messenger delivering it very much is like you said, 10 to 15 every post game. Whether they win or lose, if they win, it's we'll go back. I'm sure there were, we can always keep improving. There's 10 to 15 things that we could have done better, and we'll look at those. And if they lose, then it's there's 10 to 15. does not matter. He always passes on that same message.
Always.
And so, like, you know, to put it all on the refs, I mean, we talked about this with Jaylen the other day. It's just grating and tiring and undignified.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just,
you know what I don't want to, I'm sorry, but you know what I don't want to happen? I don't want this to be like an opening where every time the refs blow a call, the Celtics just lean into the, oh God, we're doing it again. Like, because what's going to end up happening is somebody's not going to get back. And, you know, we're going to have more situations of, well, Jaylen thought he got fouled going to the rim and he hung back and was yelling. Like Jayson Tatum has done that enough over the past few years. Now we don't need to have it happen all the time again. Like we can't have this be the identity. Just can't. And I totally believe that they have a point.
Yeah.
But we can't get caught up in that. You have to focus on the other stuff. Got to be mentally tough. Your mental toughness comes from getting past the BS that holds you back sometimes. And sometimes, like, we've all been at work and been like, well, this is terrible and this is crap and I don't want to deal with this, but I will deal with it because I have to, and I have to do my job. So that's just deal with it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, be a professional. And listen, I think there's two things with this, right? One, this comes from your leadership, right? This comes from like Jaylen Brown started this, like, you know, like he started complaining about the refs at the very beginning of the season. He started saying like, well, I've got my conspiracies. And it's like, okay, well, you say all the time quite correctly that you are the leader of this team. Well, I mean, so is Joe Mazzulla. Like, what example are you guys setting? Like, what kind of a culture are you guys setting? You guys set the culture here. And obviously it's a little bit different. You know, this is the NBA. These are grown men. These are not children, all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like, you are still the leader of the team. Both of you, like, you're both still very much the leader of the team. And I think there's a lot to be said. You know, I think one of my favorite phrases that gets passed around sometimes is like, the ball finds energy. You know, I love that phrase because, like, you know, it's just, you know, kind of woo-woo mystical enough to be like, you know, to like kind of be like kind of fun and out there a little bit, but it is really true. Like, if you play with a lot of energy, the ball will find that energy. Good things happen when you play with a lot of energy. I think the same can be said here with this kind of like negative energy of just like complaining about the refs. That's not going to result in good things. Like, that doesn't help, you know, like, especially on a one-off like this, where it's like, there's one call that you're complaining about. You know, when Jaylen's complaining about, okay, I got no free throws. We got 4 free throws for the entire course of the game. Maybe the next game, the NBA looks at it and is like, you know what? All right, let's give the Celtics some more free throws, right? Like, that especially happens in the playoffs, right? Sure. You know, you get to game 2, a coach complains a lot about the officiating. The next game, they happen to get a friendlier whistle. We do see that a fair amount. But when it's like a one-off, like Joe was complaining about yesterday, what, you want them to, okay, the next time that there is a moving screen on the final play of the game and maybe you'll get that call in that one specific instance. You know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know. Get over it a little bit.
Yes. Okay. Now let's give 2 minutes to the actual credence of the call being, like, Joe being correct, just for a second here.
Sure.
You got to make that call. You got to make that.
It's a bad missed call.
You got to make that call.
To some extent.
I don't want to get into in that situation. You don't make that call because it's the number one thing that bothers me. Are you going to say that?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
We finally disagree.
We did it.
We did it. We finally disagree. A foul is a foul. A foul is a foul. And okay, you want to let like minor contact go? Sure. If it doesn't affect the play, it doesn't affect the shot. But that the illegal screen it does affect the play because it changes how that play is defended. So I believe in let the players figure it out down the stretch or in a game. Like I don't want every tic-tac foul call. Like, there's going to be contact, but that call has to be made in the first minute and the last minute. because it is. I pulled it up. It's on the NBA's officiating video rule book. It literally is a section where they show a play that looked exactly like that. And so I don't believe in in that situation, you don't call that, because that's egregious. And there's a difference between letting some contact go and letting an illegal screen like that go. And I know people are going to be like, hey, John, Al Horford used to do it. And yeah, of course they did it. And it should have been called then too. Like, I'm not going to say, like, I believe in that. It should be called no matter what. Some of these calls need to be called no matter what.
Well, you presented my counter argument already for me. I'm people. I was going to say Al Horford. So yeah.
It is one of my tactics for winning arguments, taking the other person's argument, incorporating it into my rant, and immediately dismissing it. So when the person brings it up, they go, well, I was going to say that already. And like, it just takes a little bit of the steam.
I already dismissed it though. That's already in the past. That's not legitimate because I already mentioned it. So
that's right. Because that's like, you're going to come at me with what about Al Horford? Like, I've already talked about Al Horford and I taken that away from you. So now what do you got, buddy? Huh? Al? Huh?
Well, I still think that the Celtics probably owe the NBA some karma for Al Horford. That's my take.
Okay, sure.
But realistically, I do have one final thing to say, which is illegal screen.
Trade rumors, Jaren Jackson Jr., Daniel Gafford, and who knows what else. We're going to talk about those and whether they're even possible when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by it's brought to you by FanDuel. It's every Friday on FanDuel from 6 to 7:30. You get the NBA happy hour right before games tip off, right before the weekend starts. It's your official pregame, a limited time window. We get special offers inside the FanDuel app. So open it up at 6 to 7:30. And a lot of times it's like you turn on the pregame show, or you get home from work. It's all right, this is a good time to open it up. And you get boosts, you get bonuses, they get surprises. Who knows what you get? It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. So go check it out. Head on over to the FanDuel app every Friday from 6 to 7:30 and see what's dropping during NBA happy hour. A little basketball, a little action, a little Friday energy boost. So go do that. And when you sign up at FanDuel, when you log in, it'll ask you to set a limit, set a budget, whatever your disposable income is, whatever you would normally spend on a night out. That's what you should be setting your limit at. Nothing more than that. So you can gamble responsibly, have a little bit of fun, but don't go overboard. Set that limit and then enjoy NBA Happy Hour on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Today's show also brought to you by Wayfair. It's a new year, new you, new decorations, new living room, new bedroom, whatever you want. It's over there on Wayfair. You one-stop shop for getting your home back on track. Bedding, mattresses, storage solutions, it's all there on Wayfair. Whatever you need for a full home refresh, it's all in one place. Whether you're updating one of those living rooms or whatever, organizing your space, an office, whatever, check it out at FanDuel. We are going to be looking at some new outdoor stuff this year, but you can get bedding. You can find anything that matches your style without spending a fortune. Whatever the price point that you are normally at, you can find something certainly within that price range. Whenever my wife gets that bug, and it's going to be coming up very, very soon, hey, we need to refresh this room. My texts end up with a ton of Wayfair links. So you can find anything you want. Get organized, get refreshed, get back on track this new year for way less. Head to wayfair.com to shop all things home. That's WAYFAR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day and the number one Celtics podcast in the world on the number one sports podcast network in the world. Really do appreciate you, the everydayer who's with me every Monday through Friday, for being here and making the podcast and the network number one. You guys are great. Listening 5 days a week, maybe more sometimes. So do appreciate you doing that. All right, let's get into the trade rumors with Tom. If my buttons will work. There we go. Hi, Tom. How are you? Great. My buttons now work. Gotcha on. Jaren Jackson Jr. is in the rumors. The Celtics would reportedly love to get Jaren Jackson Jr. In a related note, Tom, I would love to buy myself an Aston Martin. I would love to buy myself an Aston Martin. That'd be great.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, yeah, the hundreds of guitars I would like to buy. Yeah. Like
Tom would love to buy many guitars.
Many guitars.
Do you? Can you buy many guitars?
I gotta look at my pick situation.
Yeah.
It might have to be pretty far out there to make sure that I'm not, any good at podcasting anymore.
I would have to sell a lot of things if I wanted to buy.
Some good things.
Good things that I want. But I would, if I wanted that Aston Martin, I would have to sell a lot of things that I want. Maybe even like one of my dogs. Like that it would be a very painful situation. Do people understand where I'm getting at here? Jaren Jackson Jr. is super expensive, and I'm not sure how the Celtics actually get him. He makes $35 million. It's not even how they get him, Tom, because he makes $35 million this year. You can get there.
Yeah,
you can get there with Anfernee Simons and like a Sam Hauser. You can put a trade together that gets him.
Yeah.
$49 million next year, $50 million the year after, $52 million the year after that. With Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown both under contract, we're talking about $170 million with those three players. Did we not just do the whole second apron thing? Did we not just do this? I don't understand how the Celtics get Jaren Jackson Jr. and pay him all that money and keep the guys that they have here together, because you cannot have Tatum and Brown and White and Jaren Jackson. You cannot do that. So,
yeah, and it's tough too, because like the reason that the Celtics are good right now is because so many of their cheaper guys took a big step up. So, it's like, but like that's not permission to then go add another really expensive guy. That's just an encouraging thing that you now have. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's really hard to make it work. I like, the Jaren Jackson thing is interesting because on the one hand, it really speaks to, okay, if you go get Jaren Jackson Jr. somehow, right? Like set aside the apron stuff for just a second, right?
Yeah.
At that point, you are locking your team in. The rest of the time that you employ Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, or whatever iteration of those two guys, you've got around. This window, this championship window that you are in right now, is then set. There is not a lot of other fiddling that you can do around the edges. Like, it's like, nope, this is the core that you're working with. So it's intriguing from that perspective, right? But I mean, realistically, the finances are just really prohibitive. And I mean, and like the picks that would have to be involved would be ones that, like, yeah, down the line, you're probably giving up a couple of picks where it's like the future is mortgaged. Again, if you go get Jaren Jackson Jr., setting aside the second apron stuff, you better be right, because that is going to be your big shot at a title. But realistically, it's also, probably a moot point, because I don't think the money is going to work one way or the other.
And like, do you want to spend $50 million on your center?
Yeah.
That's tough.
You're the Celtics. I just said this the other day. Grab some guy that you kind of like out of the G League and turn him into what you need. Like, you're really good at this.
Right. There of the options that are out there, I feel like there are other places that you can go to get some level of what Jaren Jackson can give you, without paying all of that money. And like, in a different world 5 years ago, I think I would have been all in on this trade, because it would have been, you give up Simons, maybe you give up Hauser and whatever else. It would have depended on the picks and all of that, but it would have just been taxes. It would have just been a tax thing. And like, I don't care if Bill
not much.
Chisholm wants to pay the tax. That's fine with me. You go ahead and pay the tax. This is an opportunity to go for it. But
also 5 years ago, Jaren Jackson Jr. was a little bit more promising too. Like,
well, yes, but like if all right, if this was this scenario under the system of 5 years ago, and so people I think may have like some outdated views of how this stuff works. I don't see a path to an expensive center, like even like a Nikola Vucevic. I don't see a path towards a big salary, and because of the salaries that are already on board for the Celtics. And unless are you trading Jaylen Brown somehow to the Celtics? Like that's the discussion. And I certainly am not advocating for trading Jaylen Brown. Like I'm not saying, oh, well, if you do that, then this is fine. But if the Celtics are serious about trading for Jaren Jackson, which I don't believe they are, by the way, because if it's gotten out to this point, I don't think that's the Celtics don't put this much smoke out there.
No.
So, but if you are going to get him, eventually I think that means they have some designs on, hey, we're going to move Jaylen, maybe sell high on that. I just don't see that happening. I think the Celtics are more in the Jaylen. Look at how good Jaylen is. Look at how good Jayson has been. We're going to keep these two guys together forever as much as we can, and let's figure out something around them. And that would mean that Jackson is out.
That's right. I think that's exactly right. I actually don't have much more to add on Jaren Jackson Jr. I just think that because I think you're right. I think that Jaylen is the like trading or if you're the Celtics and you decided to sell at the absolute lowest point on Jayson Tatum, right? It's like one of those, like you're talking about trading away one of your superstars, and like why would you do that? Like you have superstars that
That's right. Just for a guy that is not a superstar. He's just not a superstar. Defensive player of the year, possible and all that. So yes, but he's not a superstar. It's his contract is outsized for what the current situation is.
And you can't even make a fit. And you can't even make a fit argument because this Celtics core won a championship. So right.
All right. So let's get into Daniel Gafford. We'll do that when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by ZocDoc. You want to find yourself a doctor. It's very, very difficult finding yourself someone who is in network, who will, who's nearby, who has an appointment, and who also listens, makes you feel comfortable, all that stuff. You got to do a lot of shopping, unless you use ZocDoc, in which case they do the shopping for you, and they can help you find somebody in network, high quality, who is free and available and has reviews. You can read reviews from people that have actually used these doctors. You can search for a specialty, you can search for symptoms and quickly find the right fit. You can choose in-person or video visits, and those verified patient reviews, you get a sense of who the doctor is, what the vibe is, their communication style, so you get what you're looking for. They have real-time availability, which means appointments can happen within 24 to 72 hours. Sometimes you get same-day openings, and it's all there in a very simple, easy-to-use app that is free. The website is free. You just go and find the doctor and book the doctor. So stop putting off the appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. You're an everydayer. You're here with me every Monday through Friday. Do you want to level up? Do you want to join the Everydayer Club? Do that at LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. You get ad-free audio. You get access to the Discord server. You get merchandise drops. It's all for $5 a month. Or if you want to pay up front, $50 for the year, you get 2 months free. Check it out the Everydayer Club, LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. So, Tom, Gafford is another guy that's rumored. I'm not thrilled with the idea, but he's making 14 and change this year, 17 million next year, 18, almost 19 the year after. So I'm not going to sit there and say you're getting Jaren Jackson Jr. production out of Daniel Gafford, but the $30 million difference in their salaries, you're not getting $30 million less of production. You know what I mean? So the value, I think, if you're going to pick between those two, the value is better for Gafford because you can make a move. You can include Simons if that's how you're going to get there. It doesn't cost you as much. You can save a little bit of money, so the boss can feel a little bit better, and then maybe you're more likely to pay taxes down the road. Blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. I still am not like salivating over trading for Daniel Gafford, but I would rather have him than Jaren Jackson Jr. considering all the financials.
Well, I mean, rather have him. You'd like, in a vacuum, you'd probably rather have Jaren Jackson Jr., right? Well,
if money wasn't an option and we're just like lining up shirts and skins and picking teams, no, I do not want Daniel Gafford over Jaren Jackson Jr. But under the second Apron era where money matters and all of that stuff, it makes sense.
And then it comes down to like, okay, who would you rather have, Anfernee Simons or Daniel Gafford, right? Like that.
All right.
And I think that's the big question here, especially given what we know about the bigs who are on this roster. I'm not saying that I think that the bigs on this roster are, championship caliber bigs. Like neither of us has said that at any stage this year, right? Like Nimi Keita, maybe like coming off the bench for sure. Like that's a championship big man, but like that's not really the case here. I think I would rather have Anfernee Simons. I mean, that's going to come as no surprise to any Locked On Celtics listener who has listened to me at all this season. I've been very on the record as very pro Anfernee Simons, but I mean, I guess because it's not just Anfernee Simons in a vacuum, right? It's would I rather have Anfernee Simons, Nimi Keita, and Luka Garza, or would I rather have Daniel Gafford? And it's like, Daniel Gafford, Nimi Keita, whatever else, because obviously you're probably not trading those guys. I'd rather have the variety. I'd rather have the bucket getting. I'd rather have the different kind of skill set than bringing in somebody who I don't know to what degree, like what degree better than Keita is he going to be? Some, but like not. I don't know, not enough to really move me, I guess.
It's the same question of like if I'm going to do the Jaren Jackson to Daniel Gafford for $40-50 million down to 18, we can do 18 down to Neemias Queta, who makes 2.3 and has a team option next year for 2.6.
Right.
And then even after that, what's he going to get as an unrestricted free agent? What's he going to really get in that market? Is he worth more than 5 or 6? No, I don't think he's in this economy, in this NBA. Like, no, I don't think he's going to get more than, he might get like taxpayer mid-level like that. I think would be a fair taxpayer mid-level for Neemias Queta is on the money, which in, next year, absolutely give him take the team option and take the team option on Nimi just in case you'd be like, hey, this is great, but let's see what he looks like next year with let's make sure this wasn't just a one and done kind of like crazy year. Like you want to protect yourself, and that's how it goes. And $2.5 million is still a lot of money. So I do agree with you that if you said to me, you have to trade for one of these guys, I would go for Gafford because of the money. You go with Jaren Jackson because of the talent, but the money doesn't work. So you go with Daniel Gafford because of the money. But if you said, would you rather trade for him with that package or not? I agree with you that going with the not, I would rather find somebody that you can trade for on, even if he's at the Neemias Queta level, and you go with a different player. I don't even know who it would be, but someone in that $4, $5, $6 million that you got exceptions. You can use that to acquire somebody. You got trade exceptions. You've got ways to bring somebody in. Use those. If you can do the thing that we've talked about a few times, keep Anfernee Simons at a mid-level contract, then that would be, I think, a much better situation. So your rebounding will be much better. Kata can go out there and rebound. You get another center who can rebound. Jayson Tatum will be back. Yep. He's your best rebounder.
Yes.
So the rebounding gets short up very easily.
Yes.
So now the Zubac thing, I think, is the rumor that I would pay the most attention to. I think that's the type of player that, a good two-way player, a guy who ticks like a lot of those boxes, and that would be a decent fit. Okay, that move I would make, but I think I might be out on a lot of these other rumors that, frankly, I think people are just lumping the Celtics, like Celtics need a center, and they just throw them into these rumors without paying that close attention to what's actually happening right now.
Yeah. No, I agree on all counts, because I think Zubac, because he not only does he tick enough boxes, he threads a very small needle, right? Where it's like, you have to be the right contracts, the right level of talent, and the right kind of fit with all the guys who are going to be back next year to be worth all this. And, it honestly, Zubac kind of is that guy.
Yeah.
At his best, he really does. Yeah, he really does. He hits the middle of that needle in a way that is very difficult to do, and in a way that Jaren Jackson Jr. and Daniel Gafford just don't, to me. So, yeah, I think it really is kind of that simple. It's like there is one guy who you could make a trade for who would meaningfully improve this year's team and potentially meaningfully improve next year's team within your cap capabilities.
Yeah.
And if you can go get that guy, sure, absolutely go do that. But these other guys just feel like kind of stopgaps in a way that wouldn't even necessarily help you that much.
Yeah. I think this is like, I don't know, it was like a couple years ago where the Celtics were just thrown into every trade room. Remember, like a few years ago when the Celtics had so many draft picks that they're like, there's no way they could possibly make all of these picks. So we're going to throw the Celtics in every rumor because they can make a trade. And it was always Jaylen Brown plus the draft picks 4. And it was like, okay, here's the Jimmy Butler rumor. Here's the James Harden rumor. Here's the, and like, this is a
Kawhi Leonard was another one. Yeah.
Right. Kawhi Leonard. This is where like Jaylen like keeps hearing his name in trade rumors. And you're like, buddy, you're not actively being shopped.
Right.
This is just like, the people who are going out there and breaking these kinds of stories, like there's like a couple people who break these stories, and then right around this time of year, your like Scottos and Fishers and those guys who you don't hear from a ton, still do great work and all of that stuff, but then all of a sudden you hear a ton because all of their stuff gets shared, and they will be like, this center's on the market. The Celtics are in the market for a center. They could be involved. And like, then the aggregators latch on and be like, whoa, the Celtics could be involved in this. And like somebody says that they heard that the Celtics would love to trade for this guy, which sure, I'm sure that they did say that. I'm sure somebody said like Brad Stevens sat there, just like I said, like, oh man, I would love to get Jaren Jackson Jr. on my team. That would be so great. And it would be, but like, there's a big like however in there that doesn't get reported. It's just a little thing that gets thrown into these stories. Totally understandable, totally justified that it gets mentioned. Yeah. But we're in this age of everything being amplified. It's the amplification without thinking that I think is the problem. So
I think if you're a discerning Celtics person, right, whether you're a fan or whatever you might be, like if you're somebody who, I mean, frankly, if you're somebody who's listening to the Locked On Celtics podcast at minute 34, if you're somebody who's, reading all the stories, who's like, looking at the stats, that kind of thing, you can kind of parse out who's like what guys are pretty legitimate, what guys might actually be targets. If it doesn't, if you hear one and you're like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Trust your intuition during this season, because like if it doesn't make too much sense, like it probably isn't going to happen. Especially if you're hearing it, especially if there's a lot of smoke or if there's like a little bit of smoke, like I don't know. You just trust your intuition. It's something that doesn't sound right probably isn't. And honestly, stuff that does sound right also probably isn't, because most things that get reported these days, like around this time, just don't end up actually happening.
Yeah. Good place to end it too. Trust your intuition. Tom?
Yeah.
Illegal screen.
Illegal screen, man.
All right. An illegal screen to you for being here with us on a daily basis. I really do appreciate having you all here with me Monday through Friday, with me and Tom here on a few days a week. So thank you so much. Well, it's silly season. It's rumor season. So we'll be here to give credence to the ones that make sense and shoot down the ones that don't. And obviously cover every game all along the way. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube. And I would love it if you shared the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.